first let me invite Caroline. Okay, so Caroline's from the School of Biological Sciences. So at this point, Caroline, would you like to share your observation and what support you find probably useful to the students?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody, first of all. The first thing I would say is I think that a lot of the faculty went through a lot of the same issues that you guys just highlighted as students in the last year. You know, having trouble staying motivated at home, missing interactions with students, and as well as with other colleagues. I definitely, for one, found it much, much harder to teach without having that interaction with students. You realize how much as a teacher you interact and change your delivery method based on students. So just to say that teachers went through a lot of the same issues and struggle with that as well. And actually that leads me to one of my first points that I sent out some messages to my advisees early on and asked them how they were coping. And most of them actually surprisingly came back and said they were doing okay, but one of the issues they had was being worried about contacting the teacher. They felt it wasn't as easy in these situations, especially in classes that only had recorded lectures. And so as an advisor, one of the things I tried to do was to remind them that all their teachers are human also and suffering the same challenges that the students are facing, and that this was a very good time to, we're all kind of in this together. I kind of tried to remind them that this is something that was new to everybody, and to really encourage students to reach out to teachers if they were struggling with things. And I know it's hard. I know that that's one of the things I see in a lot, especially my first year students, a real, I don't know if it's just fear, but this feeling that they shouldn't contact their teachers. Like there's a separation between the teachers and themselves. And I think particularly in a situation like this where we're all kind of figuring it out as we go along, I think it's a good time to share struggles or feedback. I've really appreciated the times when I've gotten feedback from students about what's working well for them and what's not working well. And it allows the teachers to adjust as well. This is not to say what we appreciate. What's less appreciated is suggestions for how to grade and kind of things, which we get a lot to. But definitely, you know, reaching out to teachers and saying, I'm really having a hard time for whatever reason at home, and asking your advisors. I was surprised actually none of my advisees contacted me and asked me for support. But once I reached out, then a few people had some questions and things I could offer. So really, I think especially, I know it's awkward sometimes, but especially in this time, you know, really make use of all these people that are available to you, well, students. I know there's only a few students here, but that's what I would tell my students, like reach out to your advisors, reach out to your class teachers, reach out, and, you know, maybe if there's not a way for you to interact, that's something you can suggest, that there be some more discussion sessions. I was going to share a little feedback. Somebody in our, I'm in the School of Biological Sciences, and the teaching committee, undergraduate teaching committee, gave a survey to the students to ask them about what their experience was like as with the online teaching. And there's a few things that I thought were interesting. I think students really, and you guys both highlighted this, I think really miss this connection that you have with students and teachers in the classroom, and starting to realize how important that is. For group projects, it's not quite the same maybe working over Zoom as it would be if you could meet up together in person. You know, not being able to ask a question of a teacher directly makes it a bit harder. So that was something that was really highlighted as a difficult thing that a lot of people had interfered. They also mentioned that it was hard to contact group mates for group projects and increased workload. But they did like that there was flexible learning hours. They liked, and the other thing that they said that was good about the recorded lectures is that they weren't as distracted as they might be in a classroom. So there's less, you know, you're not distracted by people talking or watching videos, or you know, you're not looking over their shoulders, looking at their computers or whatever. So in some ways, some students found that it could be also a beneficial practice. So yeah, and I think my experience was that clearly how students dealt with this really differed by what year they were in. The year one students that had the I don't know how to say it, the experience of starting their university career in this year where we spend a lot of the time online. In some ways, they hadn't really experienced anything else, so they didn't know so much what they were missing. So when I talked to them, I really emphasized, and it's a concern I have as a teacher for next semester, making sure that they get that interaction with students. I think that's so important at the beginning of your studies when you're trying to decide which major you want to do. You're developing friendships that will last you and help you through all your courses. And so for my first year students, I'm really advising them to make sure that they're reaching out and finding those connections somehow. And actually, it's something I advise to the teachers that I supervise as well, to try to create those opportunities. A lot of the students mentioned that they really liked, I think students were kind of indifferent about live Zoom lectures versus recorded lectures, but what students seemed to really like was small discussion groups where possible online, and they felt like they were getting that kind of interaction. For the more senior students, I think the issues that they were facing were a little bit different, although it's still about planning and the issues that Rachel mentioned at the very beginning, like not all this uncertainty about, they have to do capstone courses, which often involve internships, or in science, and we have students doing research projects that can't get into the lab, and they were worried about not being able to complete their projects. And students now that are graduating and looking for jobs in this current situation, they're finding it more challenging than students have in the past. And so I've spent a lot more time with students. I'm the coordinator for the environmental science major too. So on top of the academic advising, I advise the environmental science students. And I've spent a lot more time with students helping them to think more outside of the box. I think our students in particular, have a fairly narrow view of what kind of jobs that they want to have when they finish. And I think to deal with the fact that jobs seem to be a bit more hard to come by this year, I've been really encouraging and working students to think more broadly about what their skills, how their skills can be applied to different kinds of jobs. And also thinking about revising their CVs and sort of this application material to think about all the experiences that they've had. I mean, even going through a year like this shows some real skills, right? that are interesting to employers. It shows resilience that you finished. That's what we all feel like too. We all made it through this year. And these are skills that you can highlight on your CV. So that's something else I've been working. Yeah, it's good for year one students too, thinking about how all of these experiences you're going through can actually translate into skills that employers are looking for down the line.
Yeah.
So I think I'll stop there, but happy to chat more.
Okay. Thank you, Caroline. Yeah, definitely very, very, very useful indeed. And I think especially, I think you mentioned about the things that some students found very good about online teaching. It's like flexible hours, recorded videos. Okay, so maybe we could remind those students who are not so comfortable with online teaching to look at the positive side. Okay, so all the extra benefit they could get from online teaching, like they have more flexibility, they have more time, so they could think about how to make good use of the extra time, and whether they can maybe view a bit more times about the recorded videos. So that's definitely positive side that we could stress to the student. Okay, thank you very much.